we have our drums, bass, and piano. We've started to arrange the song, and many of you have gone pretty far with that. If you have gotten about midway, I'd say keep on going. I'm not going to lay out the entire video for you, but I have some things to add. Things like a couple drum fills here and there, changing up our sounds, and ultimately doing some other technical things to help us get ready to mix this thing and kind of finish it up, so to speak. To begin with, we have our piano, right? And again, there is no piano in this song. We're going to address that in this video as well. But as we're listening to this, you can hear in the background underneath the bass and the drums that there is something going on there, something kind of ambient and angelic. It's a pad of some kind. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually take this piano part and duplicate it. So I highlight the nameplate of the track, go up to track and duplicate. I'm going to go ahead and include the insert in this one because I want to expand. I have a specific sound in mind. And you don't have to use expand and you don't have to use this sound, but it's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go, instead of in the pianos, I'm going to go into the soft pad category and choose, where did it go? The sine pad. It's a very simple sound. Okay, I'll probably bring that down in volume, but I want it in the background. I want it helping to kind of thicken up the sound overall. Okay, now this actual piano thing, there is no piano in this song. So I'm going to click on this dot over here, and I'm going to introduce a new instrument altogether. And it's a new instrument to me as well, so I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but it's pretty cool. Well, the instrument is very cool, and the sound library is quite cool. So we're going to go into our insert and change or choose contact. Okay, contact is a sampling instrument, and we will play with it quite a bit when we get into sampling, but it also plays back a number of different types of sounds. A sampler is an instrument that plays back recorded sounds, whether they be drums or pianos. It's not a synthesizer as much as it is a recording of a synthesizer, a recording of a real piano, things of that nature. So this is the blank kind of workspace in terms of what sound is loaded in. And we're going to scroll down until we see strummed acoustic. And I want you to then open up the instrument and double click on what is called the NKI. It is the contact instrument. And that's going to get loaded up into this window. And as soon as if we were to, probably going to change this now from piano, double click, to guitar, GTR being a very common, I've already used it, it's so common. GTR is a very common abbreviation for guitar in the studio. So right away, if I just press play, this chord information that I have in on this track is going to trigger a strummed acoustic guitar. Okay, now the challenge is what strumming pattern is being played. So you have different strumming patterns down here. If you click on these, they'll change. And that one works. I don't hear the change to the C or B that well. But what I have found, and then you can go to a different kind of bank of strumming patterns. If you go to the, not the Western, but the Campfire, let's see what this one sounds like. In line with it. Now, I do suspect there's going to be an issue here. Let me see where this happens. Let's see, would that be over here? Let me see. Okay. So we're going to drop out our guitar here. Okay, so you see how it keeps playing? That is something we're going to need to address, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. So let's just say that we now have a guitar part that we've taken our piano and changed it into a strummed guitar. I think those clicks are my computer hurting right now. Let's deal with that because that's not that cool. Okay, so this C sharp 2, you can see if you hit this note, it kind of slides up the fretboard. If you hit this, it stops. So what we're going to do is just put in a stop right there on C sharp 2, and I'm going to, let's see, make sure that that works. And we're going to shorten our strumming chords so that the stop kind of takes over. Okay, we might need to move that around a little bit to see where it should really stop. It's possible that it should stop on the downbeat. Okay, so we can make it stop, bottom line. All right, so we have a guitar. I would like to change the bass sound as well. I don't really like my bass sound all that much of the Expand 2. So in this same contact, actually I'll just show you how to do it a different way and save that for another time. So I'm just loading up another instance of Contact, and I'm scrolling down to the Scarby Rickenbacker bass. A Rickenbacker is a classic electric bass, and the palm muted sound, this bass line is pretty muted, so we're going to double click on palm muted and load in that sound, and let's hear what the bass sounds like now that we have. It is distorting. Where's my master fader to double check? Ha, he doesn't have one. Bad deal. Do as I say, not as I do. So this is why it's so important to have a master fader. Okay, that was an issue of clipping. Okay, so it already sounds better to me. I'm going to lower this down anyways because in the headphones. So we have added a pad sound. We have added an actual guitar. I'm going to move this. I got confused because I usually expect my master fader to be on the bottom there. We've changed up our bass. I tend to like to see my drums, my bass, my guitar, my pad. Name these things appropriately. I keep doing things that I already have in here, so. Last thing I wanted to point out is some drum fills here. I'm using in Expand 2, I'm using the Session Drums kit. It has a clap. And if you listen to the original song, there's a couple of variations in the drums, very few, but here's one of them. We do this every time. Bap, bap, bap. So I went ahead and put that into this measure. So that's at measure 32. So it would look like that. But if you listen, a really good trick is when you're listening to the original and you're like, oh, I know something's happening there. We do this every time. It's right. You can kind of visualize. I'm not even hearing mine, and just visualize where you're hearing it. We do this every time. And you can put in the notes that you think it is and listen to it and see if you're right. So that's one of the variations, and that happens a couple times, maybe slightly differently. I'd like for you to get at least one of those in there. And then there was one other one that I found. Oh, here it is. Listen to the original. Well, that's another one, but we can't really deal with that right now. Check out this transition at measure 49, how the drum beat doesn't play the snare drum in measure 49 on the first half. All right, so all I did for this is I literally took my snare drum. By the way, there's another little hand clap drum fill there. So, and I hear right here, I don't hear that snare drum here. So I just took my snare and dragged it down to be a second kick in that transition area. So this is what that sounds like. All right, and that guitar strumming actually isn't perfect, but this muted might be okay. It's not like the original, and this is what it would take some time to kind of figure that out. Hopefully we'll get it recorded and fly it in there for you. All right, so we have some drum fills. We've added an actual strummed guitar. We've duplicated our piano part, or our chords basically, doesn't matter what it is, our chords, and we've put in a pad to give it some richness and to fill out our mix. We've added a couple drum fills, if I didn't already say that, some hand claps and such, and we're just going to continue arranging this thing and finding the sounds and balancing out our mix.